Hare Krishna. First offering my sastang dandavat pranam to Paramaradhitam Gurupada Padma, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhaktivedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, and to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and the entire Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, to all my seniors headed by Sripad Radhakanta Prabhuji, Hridaya Govinda Prabhuji, Ajay Krishna Prabhuji, Radhikala Mataji, Vishwambar Prabhu, Gordavani, all my sisters, Gopika, Malini Didi, Pran Krishna Prabhu, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams, everybody online, Hare Krishna. So, my dear senior godbrother Vishwambar Prabhu asked me to speak about Srila Gurudev. For recently we had Srila Gurudev's Tirobhav Mahotsav, Disappearance Festival, Haribol Mataji, Radhe Radhe. So, I'll speak a little bit about Srila Gurudev and Guru Tattva, if that's okay with everyone. Something I was thinking about the last day or two is the difference between the principle of Guru and the personality of Guru, and how we can relate and what we can focus on. There's the principle of Guru and the personality of Guru. And I hope that we can learn in the West how to show proper honor to the principle of Guru and the personality of Guru. We live in a world that is not a one nation or one Guru world. Yes, there are different nations and there are different states and there are different counties and there are different cities and towns. So we don't live in a, perhaps people like the idea of a one world order. But that's not the natural state of life. The natural state of life is a form of multiplicity. Srila Gurudev would speak about it as one in principle. And he would say in his lectures, India is one nation, but within that one nation of India, there are many states. And within each of those states, there are many cities, towns. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke about the need for outreach to reach to every town and village. In other words, there's more than one town, there's more than one village. The question is, for that vision of Mahaprabhu to manifest, rather as it is manifesting, because it's not his vision that we manifest, it's his vision that his energies manifest. So it will manifest in its own natural way. And it is my understanding that there will naturally be many gurus, as we can see in reality. So to have this idea that there's one world government and one guru for the whole world, I would say is slightly irrational. But the principle of Guru is one. So then, where do we put our focus? On the principle or on the personality? Nowadays, it's quite, I would say, socially popular to focus on principles, especially even in terms of God. People will say, I believe in the God of Einstein, the God of Spinoza, for example, the God of universal principles. God is a principle. God is from where laws and order is established. And personality, that's superstition. They focus on principles. But real transcendentalists, especially in Eastern traditions, teach the importance of personality. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj has a beautiful book called The Evolution of Consciousness. And in it, he always talks about consciousness and person. He says consciousness actually is predicated on personality. And everything that we think of as simply material is itself predicated on consciousness, which is predicated on spirit, which is predicated on Atma, which is predicated on Paramatma, which is predicated on Bhagavan. And Bhagavan is the personality of Godhead, not the principle of Godhead. And so the challenge for us is how to honor our guru while respecting all gurus, while respecting the principle of guru. It's said that to be a Vaishnava, a worshiper of the Lord, Supreme Personality, actually requires the process of initiation into the Sampradaya. I remember my mother asked Srila Gurudev, what is the definition of a Vaishnav? And Gurudev, she had asked many people, but they all gave very complicated answers. And Gurudev gave a very simple answer. Grihita Vishnu Dikshako, Vishnu Puja Paronaro, Vaishnavo Bihito Bigyar Itarusmad Avaishnava. Actually, a Vaishnav is someone who is initiated in a Vishnu mantra by a bona fide guru, practicing, worshipping the Lord. That is a Vaishnava, otherwise one is not. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about that it's in his Bhaktivinoda Bhani Vaibhav. It's said that actually it's very popular nowadays especially in most religions, because most so-called gurus are cheaters. So the general society turns away from that principle and personality of guru. It's common that the principle and the personality of guru is rejected because of many cheaters being present in Kali Yuga. But that does not mean it's not available, right? But you see this very common nowadays. Especially, it's a very interesting time in the world because spirituality is very popular. I would say probably more than in a long time. They have a study actually they've done with many research groups and census groups and so forth. 30% of the Western world identifies as spiritual, but not religious. If they are asked a question, are you consider yourself a spiritual person? They'll say, yes. Are you religious? No. But if you get into the details of what it means to be spiritual, it's generally very impersonal. We were in San Francisco at our event at Shacks 15, and there was a very educated leader in the community and spiritual teacher, and she was saying how, because we talked about guru. We talked about the personality of guru, and she said guru is the community. Guru is the energy, guru is the spirit, or God is energy, God is love. And that's actually not the ultimate truth in our conception. Guru is the personality. For us, Akhanda Guru Tattva is who? Krishna's first expansion, the personality, the servitor Godhead, Ashraya Jatiya Bhagavan. The servitor Godhead is the root of the Guru lineage, and that is the personality of Baladev and the personality of Lord Nityananda. So the root of the principle of Guru is a personality. And if we focus on that personality, then we can also harmonize with all bona fide gurus. We should not give up our discriminating faculty also. This is something Bhaktivinoda Thakur described also in Sajantoshini 10:11. Hey, Achita Prabhuji, Dhanavad. Hare Krishna. Jai Ho. Jai Guru Bhai. In Sajantoshini, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, 10:11, the question is asked to him, what is the most dangerous form of association? And he says, actually, the worst association in the world is that of the Dharma Dvaji. He says there's no worse association. Dharma Dvaji means someone who is waving the flag of Dharma and saying, I am following Dharma, I am following Dharma. But actually in their practice, they're full of illicit behavior and they don't know right from wrong, and their teachings end up causing havoc in society, both by their own behavior, but also by their teaching. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's the worst thing. So in other words, we don't have to suspend our intelligence, I believe, to just accept anyone who says they are guru as guru. We have an ongoing situation actually in the Vaishnav world in the West, where there's a very popular group, and they're saying we have a new sampradaya, and our guru is actually an incarnation of Vishnu. He's Vishnu Tattva. And they put Tulsi on his feet in one occasion, and they're saying we're Vaishnavs and our guru, and they're saying that actually you shouldn't criticize us because we're promoting Sanatana Dharma. and Hindus should not fight against each other. We're promoting Sanatana Dharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that's the worst form of association in the world, actually. So Madhyamadikari Vaishnavas, which is what Gurudev encouraged and brought devotees to that platform. He tried to. I remember one year in New Braj, Gurudev actually said like that, Hare Krishna. Gurudev, remember that one year Gurudev said, I think many of you are now becoming Madhyam Vaishnavas. He said that one year. I remember sitting there in New Braj. One of those years, I was sitting there, Gurudev said, now many of you are becoming Madhyam Vaishnavas. And they were arguing about it, like Gurudev were not. And he said, no, but at least you're acting like Madhyam Vaishnavas, which means some discrimination is necessary. And friendship with devotees, but not suspending that. So the personality of Guru and the principle of Guru doesn't mean anyone who is taking on the so-called responsibility of Guru is also bona fide Guru. So it's a delicate subject matter. But it is our belief that even the root of the principle of Guru is the personality. Lord Nityananda, Lord Baladev in our conceptual framework. And so that's something we've been discussing about. So now, how does the disciple, so we said a Vaishnava means someone who's an initiated devotee, because otherwise, why is it important to have initiation? At the time of initiation, nowadays is a very difficult subject matter because, again, most religions, they've discarded the principle of Guru and the personality of Guru. That's the fact. And they're all, for the most part, following a form of Ritvik, which means everyone in this world is bogus for the most part, but at least God is there and we have faith in God. But most religions have discarded with that. Even within Hinduism, a lot have, the Sikhs and so forth. There is no personality of Guru. It ended hundreds of years ago. Kali Yuga, there's no Gurus. They say, though, just because there is counterfeit money in the marketplace doesn't mean there's no genuine currency. Rather, it is proof that there must be the genuine currency. Otherwise, counterfeit has no value. You can look at it crypto, right? You have Bitcoin, has some value, and then you have all these fake crypto, very little value. But their value is based off the genuine and ultimately off genuine capital. So anyhow, naturally there will be many gurus. We've seen that. Generally, sometimes at different generations, there'll be one acharya who is the most prominent. But even then, to say only this guru is bona fide and no one else is bona fide takes away the principle of reality is one and different, right? Reality is naturally one and different. In the time of Srila Gurudev's acharyaship, Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj was acharya, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj as well. So many acharyas were present. And we see in Srila Gurudev's mission, Gurudev said, I will make many Srila Narayan Maharajas. He didn't establish a one acharya system. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also didn't. Some Gaudiya Maths established that system, and it works in a small kind of community. Yeah, it works in an institution or a community, but for a worldwide mission where Mahaprabhu said every town and village, how is it viable? How can you give the attention needed to the devotees? But it's a very interesting thing. I actually read today that someone was posting, I believe this is a Srila Swami Prabhupada quote, or maybe Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I don't remember. Maybe someone else saw it, where they were saying a Madhyamadikari Diksha Guru can be there, but ultimately the Diksha Guru will be Uttamadikari. And that gets into the technicality of the Guru, where Gurudev speaks in his lectures that ultimately Diksha is a school, and the conclusion is the achievement of transcendental knowledge, one's own spiritual identity and service and engagement. And so there may be a principal and there may be a professor, and the principal may arrange a system to have many professors. That's up to their discretion. Swami Prabhupada arranged such a system, and it was clear. So there is a hierarchy of spiritual mentors, as is seen in reality. But my basic thesis here is actually that those who teach, we're worshiping the principle of Godhead, the principle of Guru, it becomes a form of impersonalism. Impersonalism means no personal approach. And that's actually a form of, it's like nonsense. It's a form of nonsense. Gurudev would say it's like, just because you imagine something doesn't mean it's real. You have a fantasy, but it doesn't mean it has any substantial reality. So there's a trend that means, any attachment to the personality of Guru becomes a cult, becomes sectarian. But actually, if you don't have, it's like saying my father is a principle. There's a principle of being a father, but you're not a principle. Gauravani, right? You're not a principle, you're the mother. You have children, they have relationship with you. If you were just a principle, then it's all just data. It's all artificial. I was thinking today about artificial intelligence. The key word is artificial, right? It's fake. It's not real consciousness, and it never will be. You're not going to create personality out of data. Personality is there. And so for us, the personality of Guru holds the most significance in our life. Without the personality of Guru, we have no connection to the transcendent personality of Godhead. What is our connection? And so we were talking about that. Krishna is establishing him. If you look at the majority of commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not God. He's representing the principle of Godhead.
Right. Symbolic.
Yeah, and that's Mayavad. Swami Prabhupada would say, we kick on their head with boot. I was talking, and
I got 4 boots.
but that's a dangerous game there. So who kicks? We kick. Prabhupada says we. That means him and his peers. But philosophically. So what is the importance of the personality? We were talking about this yesterday. We had a japa walk, and we said, I was thinking about this, we're in Maya. Maya is described to be Durga, the prison house, material energy. So in this world, in America, if you go to jail, you get one phone call, right? Who are you going to call? Are you going to call the principal of Guru? 1-800 Guru Tattva? Are you going to call Gurudev? We were doing a class on Gurudev's Tirubhav, and we were talking about this, where we said, it's very popular to talk about Krishna Prem, Radha Dasyam, according to your lineage. Ram Bhakta will talk about Lord Ram. But there's a story, Tulsidas, Ramcharitmanas, where Tulsidas himself was trying to have darshan of Ram, and he couldn't see him. Even he was told where to go and what time to go to see Ram, but he still couldn't see Ram. Until he took shelter of Hanuman, he couldn't have darshan of Ram. And so the idea here is that we can say Radha Dasyam, we can talk about Radharani until our hair grows gray, But what is our connection to Radharani? It's all imaginary, it's all speculation. What we actually know is our Gurudev. And our connection to our ultimate Ishwar or Ishwari or Sadhya is through our Gurudev, the personality of our Gurudev. And the idea here is that that's not contradictory to honoring all Vaishnavas. That's not contradictory to honoring all Gurus. When we were in Radhikunj and our Jagannath Prabhuji was asking about Eugene Center, Premanand Prabhu said, Guru Bhakti Ashram, he said, actually honor to your Guru is honor to all Gurus, because ultimately it's Akhanda Guru Tattva. But Akhanda Guru Tattva is still personality. And by honoring the principle of Guru, actually, by honoring the personality of Guru, you're honoring the principle of Guru, and you're honoring the personalities of all the different Gurus. I was thinking about this even in referring to what sampradaya we may be in. Like we may be worshipping Sri Krishna as our ultimate sadhya, Brindranandan Sham Sundar, Krishna, our ultimate sadhya. Someone may be worshipping Lord Ram as the ultimate sadhya. But they're not worshipping just an idea. And when we talk in terms of bhakti, we say, what do we pray? Navada bhakti means the 9 limbs of devotional service based on the personality of Godhead. So first Shravanam, hearing. What do we hear about? Nam, the name. Why is the name so important? Because it's how we make relationship with the personality. So what is the name of my Gurudev? I'm honoring all gurus, and we also honor all gurus practically, especially in the householder ashram. The Dharma is charity to Vaishnavas. And so giving charity to all Vaishnavas, maybe not the lion's share, but some charity to all Vaishnavas is the Dharma of householder life. You're the pillars of society. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the Grihastha ashram, and specifically within that, the Vaishya ashram, is the actual pillar of society. Your services are the pillar of the entire Varnashram system. It said in that consideration, brahmacharya, sannyas, and vanaprastha is actually not superior. Because without the Varnashram and without Vaishya and Grihastha ashram, there is no question of society. Everyone can be Paramahansa living under a tree. Good luck. All the monks, giving big philosophy and being worshipped are being supported by Vaishya class. Krishna appeared in that class to show that superiority of that position and really to honor all according to their position. But when we worship Krishna and we say Krishna, it's a name. It's not a principle. Nam, then Rup, more personal. So we can say, oh, Gurudev I was reading this on the plane yesterday, volume 56 of our series on Gurudev's lectures. So Gurudev was saying that we should never hear kirtan from a Mayavadi. He was saying, why? Because he said, actually, you can chant the name of Krishna and it can take you to hell. Because what is your aim? He said, actually, Gurudev was saying, oh, worse than hell, Gurudev said, it will be spiritual suicide. Why? No Rup. So Guru is a name, but without Rup, form means more personal. My Gurudev has a form. Lord Nityananda Prabhu has a form. Baladev Prabhu has a form. So it's Nam, then Rupa. Gurudev said, actually, then he said, those who think, oh, I will only do a rope siddha bhakti, he said, they will go to hell. Gurudev said so strongly. And people don't like to hear this, but Gurudev is the real friend. I've been thinking about that, Gurudev's title, his name. He was given the title to be a friend of devotees by Padma Gurudev in 1947. Bhakta Bandhav just means a friend of devotees. And a real friend is your well-wisher, and that means they may tell you an unpalatable truth. That's real friendship. It's real care. And Gurudev said, a rope siddha bhakti can lead you to hell because he said the motivation isn't clear. We're not actually, it's Vaishnav Prai at best, semblance of a Vaishnav. So that's why it's Nam, then Rup. And to hear about the form of Krishna. And Krishna, what does Krishna say? Pratamam tu Guru Pujyam. So first you worship Guru. That means, what is the name of my Gurudev? What is the form of my Gurudev? What are the qualities of my Gurudev? And what are the leela, the pastimes of my Gurudev? The same with Krishna. So everyone who's saying, I'm worshiping the principle of Godhead, Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls that covered atheism. And that's the majority of so-called spirituality. The majority of so-called spirituality is just covered atheism. Because the inclination of the soul is to serve the Supreme Soul. And so you can't take that away. The communists tried to take away spirituality, right? Everything is just material and just enjoy. You can't take it away because the nature of the soul is to worship. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it like, okay, you start worshiping a river, you worship a mountain, you worship a tree. The nature of the human spirit is to worship the divine, which is in form, which has name, which has qualities, which has pastimes. So the atheists have to take advantage and co-opt spirituality and repackage it because it's the natural sentiment and the tendency of the soul. So they take it over and they put a beautiful Shringar outfit on it, and it's called the principle of God. It's called the principle of Guru. No personality. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada says, this is the Putana tendency. And he said this will naturally happen in every institution and in every organized church. And he said the gatekeepers of those places, because they don't have that quality themselves, but they have desire for power, position, glory, worship, then they will Change the philosophy to talk about principles, no personality. It becomes very dangerous. So for my meditation is, we honor, we worship all. But when that takes that time to call, we hear stories of Swami Prabhupada disciples who perhaps left the path and left association, but at the time of death, the personality of Guru came for them. Swami Prabhupada himself came. We don't call 1-800 Guru Tattva at the time of death. We call the name of our Gurudev. And not even, like I was thinking about that, we're talking about that. We chant Radhe Radhe, we chant Mahamantra Hare Krishna. But we should be careful to watch that the whole mission doesn't become Ritvik. Everything is bogus, only the past is bona fide, not the present. There's no present Vaishnavas. There are many present Vaishnavas. We can take shelter of many different Vaishnavas, and they're all personalities. And to the degree they are exalted, they can help uplift us. If anyone is in second class, and I'm in first class, they can bring me perhaps to second class. But actually, Swami Prabhupada says the Madhyam Vaishnavas should always seek higher association. Gurudev, I read this just yesterday also. Gurudev said the qualification of a Madhyam Adhikari is that they take shelter of a Uttam Adhikari. Gurudev said like that. Qualification of a Madhyam Vaishnav is that they know they are not Uttam and they take shelter of a Uttam Vaishnav. This is the qualification of a Madhyam Vaishnav. And then they can be friends of all Kanishtas because they can also help them KG class, primary class, high school, and so forth. So this has been my meditation. I believe that's also why, we look at our line. We're not the Chaitanya Sampradaya. We're the Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga. And that means we take shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami and all the lineage of each personality. We don't sing every day Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, but we sing Sri Guru Charana Padma. And in doing that, we honor all our gurus, but we worship our guru. Right? There's a popular sect that worships the light. I was reading about them just the other day. And their painting on the altar is a light. Right? With many, it's like the source of the photons, it's like the source of the Big Bang. And that's what they do arati to. So then why are you using incense and a ghee lamp and flowers? Just shine a flashlight at it. Worship the light with light. And why do you have a body and a form and a name? So it's actually simply a form of idiocy. Yes. It's a form of artificial intelligence. No intelligence. Right? What is artificial intelligence? Outsourcing our own intelligence. I can't do arithmetic, so I'm going to have a calculator do it. So it has some utility, but we don't want to outsource our own intelligence. So, Naam, Roop, Gunan, Lila. And the beauty of this, I understand, is that one thing Gurudev said, I remember this is now in favor of the principle of Guru. This is our friend Gokul Prabhu from Perth, disciple of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. He was listening to Harikatha from Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, I believe, in Mathura. And also, I think Srila Gurudev, but maybe this is a Trivikram Goswami Maharaj quote. He told this story a few times. And he was giving very heavy Harikatha. He was famous for heavy Harikatha. And he had a question in his heart. He said, how can I have affection for Srila Gurudev, but I'm a disciple of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, and also in ISKCON we learned so much. Guru Nishta, only Prabhupada, the only Prabhupada Vadis. That's another problem. To think that Guru is only a personality, but it's also said, Guru who doesn't have a Guru is not a Guru. Father without a father is not a father. You have a father? Right? Anyone who is... So that's also very popular nowadays. It's very popular. Why? I have to follow somebody. That's why every guru is a servant. But there's so many Dharma Dvajis who you go into the woods and you get some mystical power. You can manifest ash from your hand. Big deal. Right? I can make a fire and have much more ash. You can manifest ash from your hand all day long. So what? How is it? I was on a radio show the other day. It was really funny. They said, wow, you're so exotic looking. Are you like, can you float? Can can you levitate? I said, even if I could, what would be the point? How is it going to help people? And no, I can't. But how is it going to help people? So I can manifest ash from my hand or gold coins even. So what? How's it going to help anybody? Huh? Gold coins could help. But you know what? They would just be stealing it from somewhere else. It would just be thievery. Because I can't manufacture gold. Even those they say there's stories of like Rolexes disappearing from shops from like the Sai Babas of the world. They can just take it by their mystical powers, but that's just stealing. They're actually just a criminal now. And if they hadn't have the power of, teleportation and invisibility, then they should be arrested and put in jail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was famous for arresting the bogus guru, the bogus Krishna, and putting him in prison. And then when his locks were cut off, he died. He's just a pretender. He's just a false god and a false guru. So guru is also always connected to a parampara. That means they're always a servant. They're always a son. Gurudev talks about this a lot. He said, you can become a father, but you'll always be a son to your father. And so we see that especially with Guru Tattva. You imagine, when our gurus are sitting with their spiritual master, they're always in a very humble position. When you're with your father, you're always the son. With your son, you have to uphold the principle of father. And to your son, you're a personality. But you're serving the principle. But it's like the same thing with the king. That's why they say the kings are actually representatives of God, because they're holding that power. But they're still a person, and they still have to be a worthy vessel. And so, that's beautiful, royalty, right? I know how to inspire Vishnu. Guru Parampara. It's very popular nowadays to be your guru with no lineage, and people don't like to criticize this, but actually it just means another form of cheating sampradaya, another agent of Kali.
Oh, he's so great, he doesn't need a lineage. He started his own.
There's a very popular one going on nowadays, and there's a whole debate around it. But I was talking today saying it's better to be an honest Mayavadi than a covered Mayavadi in the name of Vaishnavism. Better just be an honest Mayavadi. And I was talking in Keshaji Gaudiya Mat, Mayavadis would come and say, I'm Krishna, to Gurudev, and Gurudev would say, oh, very good, you are Krishna. And then he would call the brahmacharis, oh, Subananda brahmachari, oh, Sukhananda brahmachari, you were there, Prabhu. You heard about the story. Gurudev would say, oh, bring the burning log from the fire and swallow it, you are Krishna. There's a story from South India with a great incarnation of Krishna that was doing his Krishna puja and laying on the bed of Anantashesh with some electric lights. And when they plugged it in, there was some kind of short, wasn't tied up properly. So he had ecstatic symptoms. Electrical shock. Became a French fry. So Pandrik Vasudev was there. So anyhow, this is not our main focus, but the personality of Guru also must be qualified at some level of this educational system. It's like, okay, for example, in society, what's worse than a corrupt cop, right? Who has the responsibility to protect people, but is actually, and there's many levels of corruption. That's like a next level criminal. Better to be an honest thief. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's much better to associate with sense enjoyers, gross sense enjoyers. He said the grossest sense enjoyers, than to associate with Dharmadwaji. So it's a very delicate thing to navigate, but it's our understanding that so to finish the story, Sri Trivakam Goswami Maharaj, he asked, okay, what is the difference between Diksha and Shiksha Guru? And he said, Guru is one. Guru is one. He said it very emphatically. And so ultimately, we don't see any controversy between, okay, like for example, now we have our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and we have many Gaudiya Math gurus and preachers. There's no conflict. A conflict is all manufactured. There's actually no real conflict. It's all manufactured, artificial. And there's no need for any conflict. We live in a pluralistic society. We live in a big world. And Mahaprabhu's mission is a big mission. And there's a verse, Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane. Brahmanda Tarite, they can liberate a whole universe. That means there's many. There's many universes to help conditioned souls. So we take shelter of the personality of Srila Gurudev. And Guru is one, for us, actually means that Father is one. And by taking shelter of the personality of Guru, you're serving the principle of all the Guru Varga. And in a Vaishnav lineage, there's a great importance to that connecting element that we cannot connect to Bhagavan directly. I heard a story yesterday from Vishwambar Prabhu. He was saying, can I share the story? Yeah. He was trying to meet George W. Trying to meet, yeah? You can tell the story, no problem? Yes, trying to meet Bush. And you want to tell the story? It's a good story.
I was at a conference and Bush was the keynote speaker. And I was trying to meet Bush Jr., President Bush, at an Association for Corporate Growth. And Donald Rumsfeld was there. So I go up and I say, I'm in Charles Town. He's like, he looks at all of his guys. Who is this? And then he's like, Donnie. And then Donald Rumsfeld was like, I don't know. It was the most embarrassing thing. I never again will just introduce myself directly to somebody like that. But it was no reference point was the point. There's no reference point. So whenever you try to go introduce yourself to Warren Buffett or Elon Musk, I'm in business and I try to do business with some great personalities. You can't do it unless there's an intermediary, unless there's somebody of reference that you have an established relationship with, is the point.
Mm-hmm. So we see that with...
It's actually foolish. I was thinking, I understand the principle very much because it's actually, through experience, it's extremely foolish to try to go direct. Just like somebody in first class. You go direct to somebody in first class, Tata executive, they were like, get out of here. Who are you? No reference.
So that's why after we sing to Guru, we sing to Vaishnav. And it's said that Shiksha Guru is actually one who nurtures your faith in your primary Guru. Generally, that's Diksha Guru. But Shiksha Guru is someone who, that's why Srila Gurudev was the perfect example of a Shiksha Guru for the Western world, following as a successor, spiritual successor to Swami Prabhupada. The perfect example. Because every tour, there's hundreds of lectures of him glorifying Srila Swami Prabhupada in the most beautiful way. And in that way, he exemplified both the necessity and the necessity for a Shiksha Guru, but also how to behave in that way properly. Mother and father are both there. And so this is something we remember when we pray to our Guru Varga, name, form, quality, and pastimes. That's our reference. And that's why it's important that to be considered a Vaishnav, you need Guru Tattva. And that means the personality. Because otherwise, Krishna says, there's a famous verse. People get really triggered by this verse. Saranga Sharanagati Hoibe Jaha Tahara Prartana Suni Nanda Kumar. People get really triggered by this verse. Why? It means those who have followed the 6 limbs of Sharanagati, surrender, their prayers are heard by Krishna. Otherwise not. And then Narottam Das Thakur sings, Ashraya loya bhaje tare Krishna nahi tyaje arshab moreya karan. Those who are under shelter are accepted by Krishna, otherwise they live and die meaningless, without any meaning, like animals. Narottam Das. We won't get into the quotes of Loshan Das Thakur. His are a little bit more aggressive. He says, I guess I'll do it anyway. He says, those who don't honor my Lord Nityananda, I will put fire in their mouth. So Krishna, why it's important to become, and during the initiation ceremony of the fire yajna, we say, now you are Achyuta Gotrasya. You are accepted into the family of Krishna. Otherwise, you're just a lost conditioned soul. Without that impartation of that sacred connection, you're just lost. And so people think knowledge is everything, and by knowledge I can acquire realization, but it's never possible. Knowledge is described to be a stumbling block. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs, which are translations of the Shikshastakam verses, he talks that Jnana and Karma are like the well of suffering, the pool, the ocean of misery, actually, Vishara Bandha, of poison. Why? Because when you have the importance of a personality, what comes next? A relationship. Gurudev had some disciples, not many, but who rejected him because they considered their knowledge to be superior. We have studied more. We know this and that better. They lose the point that it's a connection and it's a relationship. Gorkshada's Babji Maharaj was illiterate. And he's the guru of the greatest scholar the world had known at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. So therefore, when you understand the importance of the personality of guru, then you can understand the importance of relationship as higher than knowledge. There's a story we heard from Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj a few days ago. Very fortunate, he's in our ashram since 5-6 months. And he told how he was speaking in Kartik, a story, and Gurudev interrupted him and said, "Where did you hear this?" He said, "It may be right, may not be right, but I have not heard it from my Gurudev." That's what Gurudev said. He said, "I have not heard that from Guru Maharaj." So you see his attachment, his connection. So after we pray to Guru, then we pray to Vaishnav. So ultimately, Guru will also take your reference. This is another pitfall. We can say, Gurudev talked about this also. He said, more rare than a bona fide guru is a bona fide disciple. So it's also, this is a very complicated subject. It's not enough to say, okay, I'm disciple of Gurudev. Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I am his disciple. On what merit? To what degree? The acharyas would say, first deserve. Gurudev would say, after I leave, a wave of Sahajiism will come, where everything is cheap and easy. And so we also have to go through our educational system. Gurudev said Diksha is actually entrance to a school, and you have to progress. So even that, there's a standard. Otherwise, what do we become? Brahma Bandhu, friend of the Brahmanas. Right? That's described in Sastra. It's that danger of that, then we have to talk about discipleship. But it said that the Jati Goswami, right, the caste Goswami lineage becomes like the caste disciple lineage if there's no merit. There's no merit, then it's only, I am a disciple of so-and-so. But are you, it's like, I am the son of Rockefeller. Okay, but, I am what's Joe Biden's son? I am Hunter Biden. It's like, yeah, but you're a degenerate. You're, what, not to bring politics into it, but are you bringing honor to your lineage? Or are you bringing dishonor to your lineage? And so actually, this is getting into disciple topics. Swami Gurudev was very heavy. Part of the reason Gurudev was so controversial was how heavy he was. And he would say, I think I'm the only disciple of Swami Prabhupada. He said like that. Because what does it mean to be a disciple? Once you've achieved transcendental knowledge, realization of your relationship with God, with the Guru Varga, with the whole family of the Gurus, now you're qualified to be a king, to be a son. What does it mean to really be a son? What does it really mean to be a father? To have a name tag, I am so-and-so, I am Hunter Biden. I'm putting that last name is actually me just bringing dishonor to my family.
Prabhupada said the same thing too.
So there are many qualified disciples, but who has graduated from the school, then they're bringing honor ultimately to the parentage. Imagine if your kids never, okay, I've been in second class for 10 years. It's like, no, you're supposed to go to third class and then fourth class and then fifth class. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just bringing dishonor. And so Gurudev actually said that all those who have fallen, I think they have not fallen. They were always fallen. That's what Gurudev said. You're always fallen. He said, first he said, there's no question of falling down for a liberated soul. And so, you're a great guru, but you're falling down. And they like to say, but this, but that, but this, but that. This is my Leela, my falling down Leela. And you see, we know histories, right? My father and you, I believe, in Mount Kailash Farm, right? To be guru means to have an artillery range. To guru means to all these things. But anyhow, Srila Goswami Maharaj said all gurus ultimately are one because by connecting to your spiritual master, you're both honoring all the spiritual masters because you are fulfilling the purpose of initiation into the Vaishnava tradition. If you're properly honoring Guru Puja, Gurudev actually wrote about this in his article about Param Gurudev on Vyas Puja. He said, Guru Puja is not offering incense, ghee lamp, and flowers. Guru's Puja is the way you live your life. And doing the offering of incense, ghee lamp, and flowers is a daily reminder that I'm starting my day like this. How am I going to live my life? That is my qualification as a son. How am I serving my spiritual father? So ultimately, in the highest conclusion, in my understanding, there's a beautiful sentiment taught by Srila Rupa Goswami, not getting into those topics too much, but for me, Radha Dasyam, Krishna Prem, first Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva, then I can be qualified. Chanting Radhe Radhe, I don't believe will get me into the spiritual world directly, unless I earn that relationship. So I know the name of Gurudev, my Gurudev, and prayer for him, for connection. But at the same time, Rupa Goswami teaches in the teachings of Raganuga Bhakti, Rupanuga Bhakti, he says, Krishna Smaram Janam Chasya. Krishna Smaram, you meditate on Krishna with his associates. And then he gets very particular. Prestam Nija Samanitam. He says, Raganuga Bhakti, Rupanuga Bhakti ultimately means you pick that specific associate who you wish to serve under the guidance of. And so in that ultimate conclusion, when you're in the jailhouse of Maya trying to get out, who are you going to call is who you are aspiring to have an eternal relationship of service with, to Radha Krishna. And so how can there be any lack of understanding of the importance of the personality in that regard? Unless you just want to worship the light, a pinpoint, right? Then you just get lost in impersonalism. So in the ultimate conclusion, tat tat kata ratascha so, even Rupa Goswami said tat tat karma prarthana. It's always about relationship and connection. And by the degree we can develop that, then in that spiritual dimension, we'll be ushered into that divine realm. And therein, we'll find the whole family member of the gurus. Gurudev would talk, one time there's an example of Swami Prabhupada. Someone was running out of I names, Ikshvaku Das, Ishwar, Ishwari Das, and someone said, okay, we can call someone Iskon Das. And Prabhupada was very upset. He said, no. He said, we are not all... The institution has its importance and prominence, but not on that transcendental reality. And so in the spiritual world, we don't have these labels, ISKCON and Gaudiya Math. We have the connection to our family. And in that realm, the eternal associates of the Lord are always together. It's not one. Personality means many. That is ultimate conclusion. Does it sound appropriate? Personality is many. The associates of the Lord are many. Sakas, Sakis, Manjaris, Gopas are many. Our Guru Varga will all be there. Any bona fide Guru, any eternal associate of the Lord will be present. But yet, if I call, someone else, then they may say, why are you neglecting, they may say, I'll transfer your call.
It'll be spam.
No, I'll transfer your call if we're lucky. I'll transfer your call. It may not necessarily be Diksha Guru, maybe Shiksha Guru. Wherever the Sambandha is thickest, on that level it can be Parakiya. But without the personality, we have no entrance into that realm of the many personalities. And so therefore, Trivikram Goswami spoke like that. He said, Guru is one because he said, as bhakti increases, your heart will broaden. And many people have room there. Gurudev also spoke like that. So he didn't teach only, there's a level of fanaticism to Guru that is also unhealthy. Vaishnavas don't teach that behavior. Mahaprabhu's family is broad. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Gurudev said every real devotee is Guru on some level. Gurudev would say like that. Every real devotee. But yet to enter that realm, we take shelter of Guru Pada Padma and we pray again and again that let us become worthy to take the name of our Gurudev. Param Gurudev had so much Guru Bhakti that he would not be able to utter the name of Prabhupada. He would, Prabhu, just like Mahaprabhu could not say Jagannath, Param Gurudev could not finish the name of his Guru Pada Padma. Prabhu, and he would become choked up and weep for minutes on end. And this is the symptom of bona fide Vaishnav, bona fide Guru. Mahaprabhu says to Ramananda Roy, what is the greatest form of suffering? Ramananda Roy says to Mahaprabhu, and he says, only viraha dukh, the suffering of separation from Guru and Vaishnav. That is real suffering. And so the degree that our affection and devotion thickens, Guru Bhakti increases, then this leads us to that immortal realm, without a doubt. So meditating on the glories of Guru Pada Padma, taking shelter of his lotus feet, praying to one day become qualified to call myself a disciple of his lotus feet.